Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. We're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey, everybody. We want to welcome you back to the next episode of the Life Success Legacy Podcast. My name is Chris Bay, and today is the episode where I get to feel really, really old. We've got Andrew Dalager. We were just doing some math, and we figure we have known each other almost 30 years, probably around 27 years or so.
27, 28, something like that.
Yeah, I was not at your birth, but...
No. You were at my elementary school, though.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And what's interesting, I was thinking about, how old are you now?
37.
37. When I was hired, when we first met, I was a punk principal with no experience, and I was 30 years old. I was younger than you.
Dude, but I have to say, as a
that I looked really old, so it.
No. I mean, you're either a kid or an adult when you're 10 years old, and
yeah.
Coming in, I can imagine being a 30-year-old that's in an authority position with a bunch of teachers that have been there forever.
Yes.
And like, you never didn't seem unconfident to my 10-year-old naive self. And like, I thought you handled the job well. And I knew you because I have younger siblings that were also in the school. And so it wasn't like I was in and then out of there, but I thought you did nothing but a great job, man.
Thanks. Coming from a fifth grader, I appreciate that.
Well, of course.
And now you're a grown-up adult man. So I'm excited about you getting a chance to tell your story for our listeners. I think it's a fascinating story. I think it's slightly different in some elements. And so I really appreciate you being willing to kind of share your story. To start with, why don't you share with our listeners, give a little context, and where are you in life? What's it look like on a day-to-day basis for Andrew Dalager?
Oh, man. I wear a lot of hats. I'll say that. So I'm a single dad. My oldest is 20 now and engaged. And then I have a 14-year-old son who is going into LHS. And a 12-year-old daughter who's still at Billy Mills Middle School here in Lawrence, Kansas. So I'm always at a track practice or a football game or cross country or wrestling. And I'm cooking dinner. And actually, we just started an agreement where they're cooking one day a week, which means I'm overseeing.
Nice.
They're pretty good. So then I'm always in dad mode, but also I run a small insurance agency of one, or actually now it's 3 people. And so I try as hard as I can to get as much time with my clients and my 2 staff members and just marketing and networking and outreach. And I still like to play a little bit of poker. So yeah, I don't know. I got a lot of responsibilities, and as my book of business grows in the Medicare space, where that's my day-to-day profession, I realize that the more people I'm responsible for, the more people are counting on me, which my phone rings and I'm spread pretty thin with work stuff. So I've got to find a way to. It's a challenge I have at work, just trying to find a way to better manage my time because my kids are not going to stop needing me anytime soon.
No, it doesn't stop. I mean, we're at 27 and almost 25, and we're still very much parenting in many ways. Yeah.
But I will say, like, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh gosh,
like,
no.
Could I get more work done? Yeah, I could. But at the same time, would I rather be talking about deductibles and co-insurance than cheering on my kids at a football game? No,
right.
So
right.
Yeah.
Well, I just always have thought that the single parent role is the most demanding and challenging role that there is out there. I think it's really tough, and I applaud you for the focus, the intention. Your kids are really, really fortunate to have you as a dad. So kudos to you, my friend. And I think last week, were you involved in a wedding?
Yeah, I was.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my youngest sister just got married. He's a great guy, and they had me officiate. So I'm technically an ordained minister, which if anybody's listening and they want to give that a shot, it's a really challenging process. You pay $8 to like get ordained tomorrow.
I feel sarcasm.
But yeah, and then it was cool because I got to make fun of him for being a Cowboys fan in the middle of his wedding, and he loved it. So it was a great time. It was so great, man.
So you're not a Cowboys fan. What kind of a fan are you?
I'm a postseason Chiefs fan, but I don't watch a lot of games.
You didn't have time.
I don't. And but if I can catch it, my son's a Ravens fan, and we were actually able to do the Chiefs Ravens game this year, and that was the first game he ever wanted to leave early. We smacked them, so he was just like, yeah, we don't need to watch the rest of this, and I'm like, we can stay. Yeah, it was a good time. So cool. Chiefs fan for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So even though we've known each other for a long time, you were not introduced to IBC from me.
Correct. In fact,
and you were introduced a couple of different times, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So originally, I ran a hot dog stand. That was just a business that I had for a while, and it was a lot of fun.
You do have that entrepreneurial gene.
Yeah, it's baked in. I don't know. Yeah. I sold candy in middle school, and from there just ran with it. I made more money in passing period than when I was working at Arby's, and I was like, yeah, I'm working for me. But at one point, there's a car show in Lawrence called the Rev It Up Hot Rod Show, and it's a great time if you're in town in the summer. And a guy bought and owned the cigar shop, and he had a booth, and I was selling lemonades and hot dogs, and we were talking, and he had just mentioned, like, yeah, I just bought the place. I used my own cash value. I'm my own bank. Just words that felt like just nonsense to a like mid-20s. I don't know much. And he mentioned becoming your own banker. And I went to Amazon and I checked it out. And I bought a copy. And I think I got like 8 pages in before I was like, this just doesn't make any sense. I don't see how it translates. And it just... I think I gave it away or something. It's gone. I don't know where that copy went.
That's interesting because we had a guy reach out to us. This has been several years, but we always ask, like, how did you get introduced? Well, he found Nelson's book at a used bookstore. So maybe it was your book that he picked up, and he's a client today. I would take
credit for that. Yeah. I have no idea what happened to that copy, but it just kind of was like, okay, cool. People are doing something awesome with money that I have no idea what any of it means. And then I have since stopped selling hot dogs and started doing insurance, a lot less stressful on the back. And I met Jeff King at a networking event, an entrepreneur networking event called 1 Million Cups here in Lawrence. And I had mentioned having some friends that do IULs for like as a financial product, and it kind of made sense, but I was a little bit leery of it. And then he mentioned Life Success Legacy and Chris Bay, and I was like, no, the only Chris Bay I know is a principal. And he was like, yep, same guy. So I checked you guys out, and I saw your podcast. I listened through like the first 30 episodes while I was driving to client meetings, and I was hooked. Like I knew. Now it makes sense. I'm so glad that you guys have something that explains what Nelson wrote, because just that alone wasn't enough for me. And I just knew it had to be a part of my financial strategy going forward.
What was different? Like, because, Nelson always says IBC is caught, not taught. I get frustrated with that as a teacher, as an educator. I'm like, no, I'm going to teach this. But you didn't catch it the first time. Then listening to the podcast, talking with Jeff, something clicked. Do you know what that was that clicked for you?
I think it's learning style for me. I know that there are plenty of people out there that can like read a textbook and do the assignments and then like learn calculus on their own. But I'm not one of those people. I learn a lot more from like two-way dialogue and absorbing it through several lenses, so that I can find the pieces that make the most sense to me and then refer back to the textbook. And so having you explain while Chris or Mike Everett was kind of painting a picture of describing how things worked. And then those two together in the earlier episodes just made it easier to absorb when I went back into the book and started understanding what they meant by the grocery store metaphor or the turning the wind currents and all these concepts. I had something to refer to help solidify it.
Yeah.
So I think that was the big thing.
Thank you for saying that, because we are very, we have several people on our team that come from an education background. And so we're constantly thinking about how can we present this information in different learning styles, right?
Yeah.
It's why during our boot camps, I literally do drawings,
Yeah.
It's like chicken scratches, like this is how the money flows. And, but the feedback we get from people is that's really helpful, is to have those different modalities of how you teach the concept. So thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah. And I'd also mention that you do one when we're talking about the car payments, where you're saving up the Ramsey style and then you pay it off and then just repeating that versus in an IBC style. And that helped me solidify exactly how the difference, the return that IBC can generate for you actually works. Like that was really helpful. Yeah.
And that was huge for me. It took me a long time to come up with that drawing. And there was actually a shout out to Mary Jo Ehrman, one of our IBC Nelson Nash practitioners, who does some great work. But one of her books, there was an image in there that actually inspired that entire drawing. She had a small one, and I was like, wait, I think I can take that further. So that idea of continually interrupting the compounding interest on our dollars when we pay cash for things. And oh my gosh, we did that over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I also was a Dave Ramsey guy before IBC. And I will say, while he doesn't, I feel like he's committed to not understanding IBC. The debt snowball really did help me get rid of earning a living just to pay it to all of these creditors. And that gave me a level of freedom that was cool. Like I just had more dollars to play around with, and paying everything in cash was great. But I knew there was something missing because I still didn't feel like I was gaining or like building any kind of momentum. I had more dollars to use, but I didn't know how to leverage them in a way that was beneficial.
Well, and having done Dave Ramsey myself, that debt snowball actually helped me kind of make sense of IBC. But rather than making those additional monthly payments towards our debt and never seeing those dollars again, instead we make those monthly payments into our banking system, and then once a year we dump it on the debt. But we're gaining those multiple purposes of those dollars and not interrupting the compounding interest on those dollars. So the concept still works, still applies. We just tweak it a little bit so that we're not interrupting that compounding interest.
And I'll actually mention that is something I heard in the show, in you guys' podcast. And it almost felt discouraging for me in the moment because I had already paid off. Like I'm debt free. I don't own my home. So I'm still a renter, and I'd love to use IBC to purchase a home in cash and then pay myself off. I'm a little ways away from having that much cash value, unless I'm buying a tent. And so when I heard that, like, what this is to be used for is to buy my own debt and then be my own creditor, it made me feel like maybe I wasn't the right person for the IBC, just the system. But I knew I was wrong. There was just a feeling that I felt because I couldn't figure out what I'm going to use this cash value for to get the return that I'm supposed to be getting. I'd eliminated all of that already. So that was a challenge. But then when I got my policy, I decided to. I knew I was going to do it in November. So I decided
So for context, give people, like, you started your policy just recently.
Yeah, February. February 1st, I made my initial premium payment.
Okay.
It was a baby policy by scale. It's $5,000. I don't.
Yep.
And that gave me just about $3,000 in cash value. And we could take a step farther back, which is in November. I knew that this was something that I was going to do. And as a Medicare salesperson, the open enrollment period in the fall is like where we earn all of our money. And we get a check in January that's pretty substantial. So I was just like, I'm going to use 5,000 of it to get a policy started. I'm starting. And so in December, I had made a conscious decision to overspend at Christmas time and then use my cash value to kind of like play pretend, so to speak. And so what I did was I overspent on Christmas, and then I had the balance in January, and I accrued some interest for the first time in forever. Yeah. And then in February, I paid off the balance, and then I just decided any new income from new sales, new clients that I brought in, 50% of it would go to my IBC policy cash value.
And policy loan repayments.
Yep, policy loan repayments. And then anything like windfalls of money, which happen more often than you think when you're counting on them. It's weird.
Yeah.
I just dump them all in there. And so after about 3 months, actually it was like 7 weeks or so, I had paid off the entire balance and I was tracking it. And I saved 80% of the interest. If I would have done it in the same amount of time with Capital One, they would have charged me 4x, 5x the interest that I wound up paying to my policy. And they wouldn't have given me a dividend on the back end either.
Right.
And that was so shocking that I actually needed to call you and find out why was it that I borrowed $3,000 at 5% and I'm fully paid up at 1% actual interest paid. It's still crazy, but I'm just accepting. It's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to argue. And it's $3,000. It's not a crazy number, but what it is a signifier of what will happen when I add a 0 or 2 to that.
Proof of concept, right?
Exactly. So now I'm just mad that although 5,000 was exactly what I could afford, I'm mad I didn't do like 20.
Yeah. And how many of us have said that? We're like, man, I wish we would have gone bigger with our initial policies.
Yeah.
I'm actually an exception to that. I asked for, we did bigger than what Mike Everett was suggesting, but part of it was, you and I have talked about this. It's like when you delay starting, it's not the first line on your illustration that you're missing out on. Mike Kwong talks about this really well. Yeah. It's those last lines at the end. So if you ever get your eye, if someone, a listener, gets your eye on an illustration, those first lines are important to know. But go down to the end and look at how these things, they get better every single year.
Year 20, year 25, year 30 off of there. And maybe you should get started today.
Maybe so. And that was me. I was like, okay, most things in the financial world, you start earlier and you start bigger, and that will help you down the road. And because we knew how to live Dave Ramsey style, we're like, oh, we can do this. We'll figure it out.
I will say, shout out to Dave for that one thing is I'm comfortable not overextending myself, and that's great. And so I'll give him credit for that, but it is frustrating when you listen to some of those one-on-one, like he'll answer a call and somebody brings up IBC, and it's like, how do you not? Anyways.
Okay, so you were introduced once, didn't click. Introduced again, Jeff King. You started binge listening the podcast. Did you tap into Jeff King again? Did you go to him again and ask, hey, tell me more about this? Or where did you go from there? And then I think you do a really amazing job of kind of articulating what your experience was going through our process. So kind of walk people through that.
Sure. And actually, that's exactly what I did. So I made it to about episode 5. And I'm also going to highlight the irony of those first few episodes. So episode 1, I think it is, Mike Everett starts talking about how he was introduced. And as soon as he got it, he was like, I know I'm going to get started with this. I need to talk to somebody right now at the company that he was going to go to. And they're like, well, we're free on Thursday. And he's like, I don't want to wait until Thursday. And like, no, next Thursday. And he's losing it.
You and Mike Everett do have some similarities.
Yeah, including our origin story, because I was like, I'm ready to go on this. And so I get to your website and I try to book some time. And it's 2 weeks out. So I'm like, okay, all right. I can wait. And so I'm still reading the book. I'm listening to podcast episodes. And then I meet with Mike. And it was just a quick call. In fact, that was what was first. It was a quick call. He's like, jump on. We do a thing
webinar on Monday night. Monday night. Yeah, the Monday webinar. Yeah.
Exactly. So I get on one of those. I'm excited to have a discussion. He explains the first half of the book. And I'm like, great. Is there a Q&A? And he's like, nope, that's at our boot camp. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And I'm
okay. Delayed gratification.
Oh my gosh. So I'm listening to more episodes. I'm reading the book some more. I'm more certain. 3 weeks later, I go to a boot camp, and it's you guys do such a good job of giving people varied ways of understanding this process and also its applications. So now I know I need to do this. I don't know how I'm going to fund it, but essentially I was like, January, I'm pulling the trigger. And then meeting with Mike Kwong is who I met with to like figure out my policy. It was a dream conversation with Jeff King about like, what do I want to accomplish? What's kind of in the way? What does my financial situation look like? Which was really helpful. And it was 2 weeks away from the boot camp. And then after that, I met with Mike Kwong, and I know, I don't know how to say this exactly. You guys' system is perfect for someone like me that doesn't ever want to feel pressured into making a decision, but also wants answers to everything. And I could use a little bit less time to process than your system offers, but it's just a really good system when it comes to giving you all the value up front and then just allowing you to either opt in or out. And so, yeah, that was my introduction. Was I knew it was something I wanted to do. I called Mike Everett. He said, join I'm going to call it a book club because I don't know the term. And then from there, I was just like marking off days on my calendar to the next step and the next step, and then getting started. I was certain from like episode 5. Yeah.
And then you were able to come to our live event in Lawrence. We just happened to do a boot camp, a live boot camp in Lawrence. We started in Friday evening. We were out at Mike Everett's house. And it was just a social, and we fed everybody. And then Mike and Pay did an intro to Dibs down in the basement. And man, there was standing room only. I remember you standing against that wall, and again, Q&A, asking questions, dialoguing. What was that experience that weekend with out at Mike Everett's and then the boot camp the next day? What were your takeaways?
First, it was great. The food was amazing, and it was shocking how many people I knew that were there. Like a lot of them, I'm sure, were people that you brought into the equation from USD 497. Like I had teachers and that I had to just say, hey, you were my favorite person from Free State and things like that. But also, Dibs is a beast of its own that is just as like exciting. The more you look at and understand and find out how it works and what it can do long term, the more, first of all, questions I have, but also the more I want to get started on that immediately. And the boot camp, I've done one digitally. I'm doing the one in June. On the 22nd, digitally also. I'm bringing a friend. And the one in person, I would just recommend, because in the moments in between lessons, you get time to like talk to the people that are next to you and learn what they're using it for, what brought them into it. And also, I don't know, it's easy when you're doing something like this to feel crazy as soon as you go back to your own friends and family and you tell them, no, I can get 3 uses out of $1 by doing this and a life insurance policy and the cash value. And my dad, literally, I'm explaining it to my parents.
Yeah.
And my dad's super polite, nice guy. Never, I don't
super
think
nice guy.
Something offensive ever.
No.
I'm telling him about this, and he gets up and leaves to go do the dishes. I'm like, okay. But when I'm in a place where everybody's there to learn about this,
yeah,
you realize that there is a community of people that are already doing this thing and that it does work and can work for you also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's as much value in that as the information.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to feel crazy when nobody understands any of it.
Even in my first 2 years of doing IBC, and we didn't have the community then, right? I was just a solo guy out there trusting Mike Everett and doing my research as best I could. But even in the first 2 years, I was questioning myself. I'm like, what have we done?
Yeah, I believe
but
it.
I think what sets Life Success and Legacy apart, couple things. One, all of us were clients first. Like we have our own kind of testimonial of how it's impacted our life.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can design, if they do enough study and work, anybody can design a policy. You can find somebody to do that.
Sure.
But I think what sets us apart is our why, our education, our emphasis on the education process, that we're not trying to just sell somebody. We're truly trying to find, are you going to be effective? Are you going to take this on as a lifestyle? Because we're about long-term trusting relationships. Like, we want to be in this for the long haul with our community. And then I would say the third thing is the community, is that you don't have to go it alone. You don't have to be like me early on or Mike Everett early on. We're like, there's nobody else out here doing this.
Right.
Now there's a community. And if you're not a part of the community, it's because you're not trying, because we have many opportunities for people to connect.
Yeah. I think you guys do a really good job of that. And I know once I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, I jumped on Facebook and looked for other like IBC groups. And there is it's not without exception, but there is a theme in most of the IBC groups that are out there. When you have a question and you just want an answer, you get met with several sales pitches. Almost there are exceptions, but most of them are filled with brokers that don't know how to independently market, or they just do it in a lazier way. Yeah. And nobody cares to teach unless they're making money. Mm-hmm. And I think that you guys' commitment to education first and the dollars will come from where they're supposed to is pretty unique in my experience with the people that offer this as a product or service. Yeah. So hats off
to you for that. Thank you. It's been kind of our mindset from the very beginning. I mean, clearly with several of us coming from the education background, we weren't chasing the dollars. We want to make a difference in people's lives, right? Yeah. And because we were educators and weren't making a lot of money, we had to research and find ways to stretch our dollars. And I'll forever be grateful to two dads at Sunset Hill that kind of introduced IBC to me. I was like, what? I've never heard of this, but yeah, I'm forever grateful. So back to your policy, you started your first premium in February.
Yep.
You took out a loan and used it to pay off your overspending on Christmas, right?
Yep.
And then you started throwing extra money in loan repayments to pay it back.
Yep.
And then how anticlimactic. You're like, oh, I've paid back my policy loan. Now what do I do?
Man, yeah. But I found an answer, but there is something to that. Like, especially when it's the size that mine is, like, yes, Capital One would have charged me 80% more or like 5 times as much. But what we're talking about is $170 worth of interest. I saved $170.
Yeah.
Cool. Like I can get that kind of savings doing a lot of everyday things.
Yeah.
I still like another place to get that kind of savings from. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But then like the balance is full. I don't have any debt to knock out next. And there aren't any asset classes that I feel educated and like fluent enough in to know that like, yeah, now's the great time to buy Nvidia. I don't have a time machine, so I can't go back in. But so I'm just left in this like what now moment, and I'm rolling the dice on a friend because I know what I want is a cash flowing asset, and one of the simplest cash flowing assets that I'm familiar with is short term debt.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a friend of mine and work colleague as well, and we're both stepping into a new sector of health insurance and using the exact same marketing platform to get new clients in the door and that kind of thing. And he was explaining to me that, well, I'm not going to be able to do it full time because I got to go out and get a job to cover the bills, and then the extra I'll throw into this marketing machine to get the wheel spinning. I'm short, like I probably need like $500 cash to get started. And I've worked with this guy for a few years. I know he's an excellent consultant and salesperson. When he's in front of a prospect, he'll find the right product for him, and the deal will get closed.
Yeah. So
I told him, dude, just borrow $1,000 from me. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. And I told him, well, first of all, you're going to owe me interest. So it's not a favor. And also, I have this money over here that I need to put to use somewhere. That's what it's for. And I feel like what better use than opening a previously closed door for you and letting you go full on into the thing that you know is the right next step for you, and turning a 20% profit for myself. Like, I can't think of a better thing for my money to do than that.
Right.
So we just got that started. Actually, yesterday I sent the cash over, and so he's just going to shoot me $100 a month for 12 months, and I'll make $200, or he'll flake and I'll have a 4-figure life lesson about the importance of legally binding documents.
Well, for our listeners, whenever we do, and I'm an example of this, we recently did a family loan with one of our kids.
Yeah.
And it's not because we're making all this money off our kids. It's to teach a life lesson, right? Sure. It's like, okay, we want you to learn how banking works, only we're going to do it with family banking. And we want to compare and contrast. If you did it with a bank, here's what would happen. If you do it with a family bank, here's what would happen. But I will say, we always recommend do loan documents, right? Do a payment schedule, all those kinds of things. So to our listeners, if you're thinking about doing family loans and things like that, use it as an opportunity to model what true banking looks like, especially with your kids, and then for your own self, just your own security. So
that's it. Talk to you first.
That's a fun, creative way to use your cash value, put it to work for you. I'm immediately thinking also of some people our listeners might be thinking there's a term called teriyaki, and this is in the dibs category, but when someone has one policy and it's full up with cash value and they don't know what to do with their cash value, sometimes they will take a loan using that cash value and use it to start a new policy. And then they start doing dibs actually between those two policies, which is kind of interesting. So that could be a further conversation. I think I'm going to see you tomorrow. We might be able to talk about that a little bit.
I like that idea. I'll need to build up a little bit more cash value before pulling the trigger there. But yeah, that definitely sounds awesome.
Well, the concept though is, and in fact, we call it teriyaki based on one of our clients and friends who lives out in Hawaii. Her name is Terry. She's originally from Texas, moved from Texas to Hawaii. Nice. But her name's Terry. And so we called this move the teriyaki.
Understood. Okay. Oh, one other thing I want to mention about transferring the balance from Capital One to my cash value. I didn't run into a situation where it would have happened, but one thing that I think is cool, and I have some friends that are starting to get curious, and so I explained to them the whole process that I used, and I asked them, like, when's the last time that you were able to miss a payment and nobody called and complained or charged you anything?
Right.
And I was overpaying and paying early and all of that. But if there was a month where things got rough or tight or whatever, it's my cash value, it's my policy, it's my loan. I own it. And so I would give myself that grace without any threatening letters showing up in my mailbox. And I think that's a significant piece, especially when the value of your cash gets to the point where you can purchase your own cars or vehicles. Like, you could miss a car payment and nobody's going to harass you about it. Like, screw the interest. That peace of mind is worth so much. It's not tangible, but it's valuable.
It's similar to what I've experienced after spending 22 years in public education to now being a business owner. It's the autonomy. It's the fact that I show up, I throw on my shorts and my Life Success Legacy t-shirt and my Birkenstocks in my basement. I work with the people I like to work with. I set my own schedule. It's that version only financially. I remember we took 2 months off from loan repayments to ourselves, and instead used that money. We took a trip to Costa Rica.
See, that's pretty sweet.
It pushes us back 2 months. Big deal.
And something tells me US Bank or Wells Fargo probably would have been a little less cool with that.
Yeah. So I did notice though, Ameritrust credit union here in town, they are offering skip a payment on like car loans.
No kidding.
Yeah. I was like, oh, how about that?
Okay.
So
a little bit, yeah,
that autonomy of controlling your own banking function is it's a really freeing way to live life.
Yeah.
What are we missing that you want to make sure that we talk about? And then I would like for you to talk about just real quickly your business and the services that you offer, because many of us who are listening may be getting at a position where we need those resources.
Definitely. In terms of missing, I'm going to drop a teaser, I guess.
Go for it.
So I love everything that your podcast does. It's kind of like, this is the result that you can expect whenever you're talking about your policies, or Mike Kwong, or anybody's talking about theirs that's on the show. The one thing that I saw that I would have liked to have seen somewhere on the internet was a like documented journey from, I know I'm going to do this, to like, I'm 10 years in and it does exactly what I expected it to do, so that I can not just have to have blind faith that the first decade is as doable as everybody says, but like proven step by step. And so I'm starting I'm starting a podcast here soon that is going to chronicle my journey from policy inception to wherever, probably. And then at that point, I'll probably keep it around. So it's going to be called The Infinite Journey. Yeah. And it's just kind of me going from, I hope this works, to wherever it winds up taking me. And I'm excited to be able to document it and look back on it and have it as just a keepsake, but also if it can help anybody get the confidence they need to be able to say, yes, this is for me, and pull the trigger for themselves. I think that if I can get one or two people to decide, yeah, I want to do this, then the time will be worth it. So
I think, and we've talked about this offline before, and I love the idea. I think it's fantastic. I think you're the right person to do it. It makes me think a little bit of Mike Kwong's book, Dibs on Your Money, where I don't think he intentionally wrote it for an audience to begin with. I don't think he intended to publish it. It was really for their daughter, Jackie. And I think about what you are going to be documenting and how valuable that could be for your family, that they can go back in the future and like, how did Dad build this for us? And you've documented that through this podcast.
Yeah. The only challenge will be getting them to want to listen to my voice in 10-minute episodes.
My kids won't listen to my voice either.
So I'll probably point them in you guys' podcast direction, but there will be somebody's kids that find it and they'll love it. So that'll be great.
Well, as this thing goes live and builds up some steam, we're going to have you back on, and we'll do an official introduction of your podcast.
Sure.
For our listeners, because we do love to share resources. that can be beneficial to our community. And
Definitely.
as we all get to places in life, we need those resources that we can trust. So can you tell us what do you offer for folks?
Yeah, so I own a small insurance brokerage. It's called Heritage Insurance Group. My primary focus is Medicare. It's not the most exciting conversation anybody's going to have, and for those people that are over the age of 65 or approaching it, you either remember or are experiencing the overwhelm that comes with nonstop mail. Facebook ads start shifting to being just Medicare things.
Yep.
And it's conflicting information of people trying to convince you to follow their instructions specifically. And what I like to bring to the table is just simplicity. I think Medicare is actually a very simple system. The challenge is in the jargon and the salesy experience you run into. And so I eliminate as much of the jargon as I can and kind of try to act as a living thesaurus so that you understand it. And once you understand what the words mean, figuring out the product for you it's really easy.
Okay.
And so I make that simple. I'm totally free to use. You never have to pay for my services. And I represent all of the major carriers. So you get with one guy, he'll make all of it make sense. You tell him which thing makes the most sense for you, and then he finds you the one that's going to fit your needs the best. And you don't pay him a dime for the services. That's Andrew Dalager. That's Heritage Insurance Group. And then for the people that are under 65, if you're at a point where maybe you're an independent contractor and health insurance isn't available and you have to go through the marketplace, well, those premiums are continuing to get higher every year. And
mine just went up.
It's not going to stop because as the insurance sets the rate, they have to accept everybody. So sick people, healthy people, the healthy people wind up paying extra and the sick people feel like they're getting a deal. As the rates go up, healthy people start asking themselves, do I really need this? And they drop off, which means the average cost is going up on a smaller amount of people. So it's only a upward spiral of expense. And as of late, there are some private health insurance options that they health screen. So they get to ask you health questions to determine your eligibility for the product. But for the people that qualify, and it's not hard to qualify, there's a substantial savings versus the health insurance marketplace if you're not subsidized through the tax credits. And I help connect folks with those products and build policies that will give them the protection they need, but without essentially strong arming them into $1,000 a month policy that's still got a $12,000 deductible.
Yeah.
So not exactly the most exciting career, but I get to help.
But I mean, the purpose of business is to solve people's problems.
Yeah.
And you just talked about two, one that we're looking ahead to facing and one that we have faced since I became a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Once I went off the school district's health insurance, our health insurance for our family, it is our biggest line item in our budget.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's ridiculous because we have family members who have high needs in the healthcare area. So this podcast, you may be benefiting me and our listeners more than we're benefiting you. So thank you for that information. Definitely. That is Andrew Dalager, and it is Heritage Insurance Group. Is that right?
Yeah, the website is heritagestrong.com.
Okay.
And my email is andrew@heritagestrong.com.
Thank you.
I'm having to give my cell phone, but it rings too much already, so I won't.
No. And Crawford will put that information down in the information below. So thank you for that. It's those are topics that are intimidating, scary for some people, overwhelming. And so when you have someone, just like we try to do with IBC, who's like, okay, how can I simplify this?
Yeah.
And how can I not pressure you, but actually educate you so that you can make a decision that's best for you? When you find that person or that organization, man, your trust is like, thank you so much for that. So,
yeah. And I I think part of it, in the Medicare space, it's that you spend 40 years having to think virtually nothing about insurance. It's just, yeah, I have it. My job pays for it. I get the high or the low one. And then you're ready to retire and relax and not have to put forth as much effort on a day to day. And then you're like, oh, I have to make one of the most critical decisions for my healthcare for the next 40 years. And it's super intimidating, but it's really pretty simple once you get the jargon down.
Cool. So, all right, Andrew Dalager, I just want to thank you very sincerely for taking the time to share your story. I know it's going to connect with some of our listeners. You have a gift for articulating and being just open and honest about your journey, where you are in life. Plus, I always think it's fun to capture someone who's early in their process. And so I look forward to your podcast. And so we're going to have you come back on when you get that thing live or whatever we need to do. But that'll be fun to do that.
Yeah.
And give people another option for learning.
And I have to say, like, I know where this is going to go for my kids and everything like that. And you guys are changing lives. So it's awesome what you guys are doing. And thanks for doing it. Yeah.
Our pleasure, man. It's what gets us up in the morning every day. So awesome. To our listeners, thank you for joining us again. I hope the information and the life story that Andrew shared with you is beneficial for you. Please come back and join us again for our next episode. Check us out at lifesuccesslegacy.com. We have, as Andrew said, we have a variety of learning options, whether it's books or podcasts or webinars or boot camps. Our next live event will be the first weekend of October, and that's going to be in Kansas City. That's going to be for our existing clients or for people who have done enough learning where they're not coming in fresh to that information, because it's really going to be a deep dive and lots of sharing and dialogue that happens with that. So catch us at our next episode at lifesuccesslegacy.com. Thanks so much.